What are the things that you would want someone new to know about you if they're looking for something like this?
It is to practice as an occupational therapist and maintain that delightful career that I've gotten myself into 10 years ago, for as long as I possibly can. And in my last 10 years of practice, I have recognized how burnout is so right around the corner in so many different settings and spaces with healthcare work in general, and especially as an occupational therapist, and especially with the United States healthcare system. So I'm here trying to make it work for me and practice in the way that feels ethical to me and aligned with my values, and not aligned with the values of the way that our healthcare system is, which is completely reductionist medical model. Fix the problem if not enough progress is being seen in a requisite amount of time, end it, discharge them, send them on their way, continuously highlighting the deficits and justifying the need for one more visit, one more visit. And I'm just not interested in being a part of that anymore. So I want to have it make sense and feel good for me, and in turn make sense and feel good for the families and the children that I work with. I do love, the direct patient care kind of thing. And right now I'm having my practice focused on babies and toddlers age, birth until 3 years old, with any kind of developmental difference or concern about their development. That's pretty broad, could be communication, social development, play, cognitive, physical, motor, relational, all of these different areas of development. And that's the most recent practice that I've been doing in is exactly that, age 0 to 3, in all areas of development. And aside from the direct patient care side of things, I'm doing some educating and advising and consulting. So I'm running some workshops for parents, teachers, and caregivers on different topics related to their work, like how to understand and join into autistic play, what neurodivergent play for young children can look like, and how to respect and join in if and when the child welcomes you, and how to kind of shift your own paradigm to validate all of the different ways that people exist in the world, rather than seeing something that looks unusual to you and coming in hard and fast with a we must fix this, we must make them look like everybody else, which I know is the messaging a lot of us got as young people, myself included. Doing some consulting with entities like workplaces, mental health agencies, doctors' offices, just any place that humans come in and out, and there's likely to be people with different disabilities that come in and out, and so just how to have the space be as welcoming and inclusive as possible, and support those with different neurodiversities. I would say like neurological, mental, and emotional, as opposed to the physical, because while I do have a little bit of requisite knowledge in like wheelchairs and ADA accessibility, that's not my area of expertise. So less so about building the ramp at the right height, and the attitudes of the people there to help hold a supportive and inclusive space. That's the dream.
Literally just about to cry because I think you just touched on so many of the things that have been the most painful. I'm 51, and the experience of an undiagnosed person 50, 40, 30 years ago is very different than even 20, 10,
Yeah.
years ago. So yeah, there were so many pieces that you spoke to that, that I'm like, God, I had to work my fucking ass off to fight for every little thing at work that would have made my life easier. And fighting for it like that is part of what drove me to burn out so severe, permanent medical leave. Now, many of them are readily available and freely given, especially post-pandemic. So on the one hand, I'm like, yay, things are changing. And on the other hand, I'm like, God, motherfucking shit, damn.
Yeah.
My life has been formed in in so many ways by being in spaces that are so unkind to me, and so many environments. And so literally,
I hear
you are
you.
speaking to my dreams. So
Thank you
yeah.
for sharing that
Hmm.
and sharing about your, your process and of
Hmm.
self-discovery about your ways of being. And I just, like, it floors me that it was only exactly 1 year ago, when I was 34, that it occurred to me, like, I'm neurodivergent after just about 20 years of like working closely with other neurodivergent people. Just like, somehow it was like, it couldn't be like, no, not me, not I, like, you know, yeah.
Yeah, I think that piece right there could be like a whole fascinating conversation,
Yeah, the
like a
stigma
journey
the
to
stigma
understand.
remains.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, children, like my whole life, since I was like 12 and babysitting the neighbors, just ongoingly. And at about 16, it shifted to children with special needs, and I've never looked back. So I've always known this is my life's work. Um, that said, I am feeling more and more excited about supporting spaces with adults in them too, alongside my work with children. So, yeah, really wanting to be branching out a bit into that more consultative space. Um, myself having been and being a neurodivergent adult that has existed in, you know, hospitals, for example, I've worked in, with all the harsh lighting and all the beeping, and even spaces, like, it has seemed pretty antithetical, but like I've been a part of, diagnostics teams for autism and ADHD and intellectual disability, and still the rooms that we have the kids come in, it's like, this is not it, like, it's almost ironic because it's like, of all places that should champion this, like, we should be the ones, right? Like, we're literally like the dolers out of the diagnoses.
Mhm.
um, yeah, I would really like to be able to share what I know about, mental health side of things, the emotional bandwidth side of things, the sensory processing and regulation side of things, and the, setting up the environment and considering that kind of trifecta, which is so common in occupational therapy, of like the person in question, the environment that they're in, the physical and the attitudinal, and then the occupation or the task at hand, or like, what's the activity, what's the expectation of that the person is doing or should be doing right now, and seeing, like, if something isn't going smoothly and harmoniously, which often it isn't, likely there should be something that changes in either the person, environment, or the task. So let's kind of break things down into chunks and see where we can make a shift so that things do work more harmoniously. That's the essence of it.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that I've never heard it put in that way of like the person, environment, or the task, because I feel like if I had heard it put that way, it might have like helped me fine tune maybe a little quicker, because I just have always thought, oh, it's me. Somehow I am wrong. Not so much that now. I do look to the environment and the actual thing and how can I adjust, but yeah, I wish that I hope that can be more commonly like understood, because I think that would help
Yeah,
people actually.
I think that is thanks to our medical system and sort of societal expectations. Like,
Mhm.
if somebody does or doesn't do something, it's expected that it's their fault, or that they're doing it like on purpose or not doing it on purpose. And just sort of looking in with a thin, narrow lens, like right into the person, because we're other people, so we're tending to look at the people rather than, keeping a wide lens and considering all the factors that contribute to like the entire situation.
Yeah, yeah. I struggled. I struggled so much, and that makes me want to cry too, because I didn't know how to play with my kid because I had never learned to play. And then
Mm.
unfortunately, I tried to teach her the ways that everybody else says to play, and I indoctrinated my child, in the ways that I hated to be indoctrinated. So I can imagine grown-ups with kids, the grown-ups learning from the kids just by letting them just be their natural selves. And then we grown-ups can go, oh.
That's so real, though. It's like,
Mhm.
what else can we do other than what we received?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
My
I care a lot
therapist
about
keeps
those
saying you
things.
don't have a time machine, so you can't keep beating yourself up for the things that you didn't know back then. So,
Your therapist has a strong Southern drawl.
no, no, I just make up voices all the time. No, that was just me making up a voice and saying the thing.
Yeah. No,
So,
I mean, I do care a lot about shifting that paradigm because, like, when I started practicing, it was all about like teach them functional play, and even the idea of teaching play and having the word functional be attached to play, like, you know, play is inherently, self motivated, and anything that a child does is play. So even if it looks very unusual to you, like that's what children do is play. So anything that they're doing in their waking hours is them playing. And it's on us as the adults to consider what might this be feeling like for them, or what does this serve them, from the place of it obviously serves them. Let's try to understand how.
yeah, yeah.
And I would want somebody to hold that same thing for me. I wouldn't want them to look at something I'm doing and be like, that's ridiculous. They shouldn't do that. They want them to be like, oh, she's doing that for a reason. Let me try to understand. Some workshops for like other professionals, like other, maybe mental health therapists or psychologists or nurses or pediatricians or um, physical therapists, other people who work with neurodivergent people, specifically around sensory processing, and with that a little bit about what is OT, and then also workshop on recognizing, understanding, and joining in with neurodivergent play. And those are ones that I've done before. So
Mhm.
I'm also very open to doing things around mindfulness and trauma informed practices and, attachment and co regulation. I have a list on my website of the things that I'm well versed in and can make up a workshop if you want it. I would rather like tailor it to the people that are
Right,
having it rather than like a stock one.
right, right. Wow. Yeah. Again, you're a dream come true. And so anyway, like this, I don't think I've ever talked to somebody who has that intersection of trauma informed in particular, but then a lot of the other words you said that have fallen out of my head. But like there's you have a blend that I've never seen before, and I have talked to, spoken with, worked with, and a staggering number of occupational therapists, physical therapists, doctors, naturopaths,
Really
chiropractors.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
So
you mean like for yourself?
both for myself and my daughter, we have
Okay.
had yeah, lifelong kind of situations that have
Okay.
needed a lot of help and support in all of those arenas. So
Well, how old is your daughter?
she is turning 21 this year.
Oh, right. Okay, cool.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, she's all grown up.
Yeah, right. Still your child though.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah, and that transition into parent of an adult child is an interesting one.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm really appreciating this depth of professional knowledge that you have, that you're bringing into uh, your new vision. So yeah.
Thanks, Emily. You're so affirming to me.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, I'm
Just
excited.
filling my
Yeah, well, good. I do like filling people up. When I see someone's magic, I want to tell them that I see it, and
yeah.
I guess I am somebody who also sort of holds that vision for a lot of folks when they're not able to see it in themselves yet, or have
Yeah.
forgotten for a little while, or that I am particularly interested in is this kind of journey of a aspiring entrepreneur, or basically somebody who's walking away from the conventional path of whatever their skill set is, and saying I can envision something better for myself and for the people that I want to work with, and I am willing to build it. I am willing to do what I need to do for that to be my life instead of this fucking shit. But that is that's a challenging space for most folks, and a lot of folks don't really talk about it. And so I feel like it's painful for a lot of people because they don't realize that it's challenging, and you can do it, but you need help. And even if it's just help from, hey man, I kind of knew how I did that, you want to sit down and I'll show you how I did it. So
Yeah.
yeah, like what inspired you finally to or take that step, or where are you in the process, so any part of that you want to share, like
Yeah, well, this was me um, really actively trying to like sustain my career as an OT,
Mhm.
um, because I have seen the ways that I feel after year upon year doing the thing that generally a pediatric OT does, which is like, you work in a clinic and day after day, hour after hour, a new kid each hour. And with that, a new set of parents and all of their worries and stressors. And it's beautiful, important work, but it's like just a lot. It's really a lot, um, especially with the ways that pediatric OTs are kind of seen as this sort of like safety net catch-all once you've tried everything else, like the GI doctor and the neurologist and a few different pediatricians and the counselor, and it's like this weird thing is still going on. Then somebody says try an OT, and then it's just sort of like, oh, okay, got you, and um, it takes a lot, and I want to be the best therapist for the people that I work with that I can be. And if I'm barely got a time, the chance to drink some water and go to the bathroom between clients, like it's just not a sustainable thing. That said, I learned a lot in the jobs that I've had, but I would like to live a life that does have occupational balance, like for myself, where I get to do things that light me up and fill my cup and rejuvenate me, and also things that allow me to feel like I'm bringing my gifts to the world and helping others. Um, and also a healthy mix of rest and leisure and home tending and nature time and just connecting with trees and meditating and making art and baking. Like I want to do all these things, and I want to kind of rejig that wiring of like your life must consist of time spent in a place or doing a thing such that you get money kind of ongoingly, steadily, and stably. There's something nice about a steady paycheck, but I think there's something nicer about having agency over your waking and sleeping hours.
Yes, 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 yes. All of that, like the sustainability piece, recognizing that the structure that you were working within is absolutely fucking barbaric, really. Like, yes, so many professions I feel like are just set up in
Yeah.
just a cruel way. And and wanting it to, it sounds like it's really coming from a place of love for yourself and wanting to live a long, full life, as well as love and care for the people that you want to work with. And like you said, you want to be the best that you can be. And that's only available if you get to do more than go to work, go home and crash, go to work,
Yeah.
go home and crash all weekend, you know? Yeah, I'm really glad more and more people are realizing that's not a life to live and we can do something else. Thank you
Yeah.
for knowing that it is in your best interest to take that step, because I absolutely agree.
Thanks.
It's kind
Yeah.
of what brought me to it too, by force. I guess I had to lose everything before I would be like, all right, but I've been an entrepreneur off and on throughout my life. Like I took 7 years away or 8 years away from corporate America and ran a handyman service and cleaning service and did that to employ my husband and his brother and some of our friends and stuff. Pretty fun. But
That's a
yeah,
whole nother life.
yeah, another life. And I'm always been passionate about entrepreneur, like, and when I mean entrepreneurial, I mean basically being creative enough to figure out your own path towards
Mm.
something that's sustainable for yourself. And part of it's currency, and part of it is something that I'm also going to be talking about a lot in a number of places is uh, divine compensation, which is something that elevates your life experience without you having to trade time plus cash
Mm.
to receive that thing. Like I'm currently staying in a humongous home in Dunthorpe, which is the most expensive neighborhood in Portland. I
Dunthorpe. I never even heard of it.
Yeah, well, because it's tiny and rich, rich, rich. But I'm getting paid to stay here, so I'm not paying for this place. I'm pet sitting, but I get
Yeah.
to experience and elevate my life by going on basically silent or quiet retreat with a sweet dog out in places that I would never own or pay for on my own.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by divine compensation, is an elevation of my life without me trading cash for it. And in
Mm.
fact, in this case, being paid to experience it. That wasn't working for me. There's something else, and I guess I got to figure it out. And it's also sort of the intersection where I feel like the Scrappy Entrepreneur School is kind of being born, is this place where I'm like, okay, over and over and over again, I have figured out how to start a business and how to move that forward, whether it was for myself or alongside somebody else. And I can show people how to do that. So that they can feel more comfortable, like overcome that barrier of like, I don't know how, and I don't want to figure it out. It's so hard, And so that's the piece that I kind of thrive on, kind of removing that barrier. I don't know how, I don't know what to do. And then also sort of the barrier of the belief that I don't have a degree or I don't have decades of professional experience or, whatever. So I can't do the thing I want to do. I have to be an expert first, or I had to go to school. And that's a very outdated belief system in my perspective. But not everybody's let go of it yet. And those of folks who were raised by people that were like, college is the only thing, you have to go to college, that's the path, you got to do it, and if you don't have a regular job, then you're fucking up and you're not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of us who grew up that way, and it definitely takes some deconstruction, but more and more models of, see, I'm doing it. It doesn't require all those pieces of paper. It doesn't require decades of experience in a corporate world. You can do it, So, also just that piece of a little bit of cheerleading, a little bit of, oh yeah, I remember when I was there, and this is how I managed to get out of that shitstorm or whatever.
Yeah. So I know not to underestimate the networking piece. Yeah, and I feel like that's been happening with getting these workshops in motion, which has been nice. Yeah, because I really do want a kind of a mix of like the one-on-one client care and the sort of, I guess I see it as like more bang for my buck, like if I can impart important info to people, like more people in an hour than just one person and family in an hour, then that's better.
Right. Let's be efficient.
Yeah.
That's part of why I'm recording a lot of my stuff, because I don't want to have to say the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
I did this workshop, this is recording, I did this course, whatever it is, here's the recording. I'm doing something else now. This is what I'm looking for. These are the kind of organizations I'm trying to get into. Who do I know who might be able to get me a foot in the door? And by starting to say that out to our actual community, because it's one of the things I feel like is so missing in the authentic relating dance community in Portland, is they're like, don't talk about business. We're here just to dance and to love and to, do that. And I think it's just like the opposite of what happens at work. Don't tell me about your weekend. I don't want to know about you as a person. You're here to work. And so it's the severing of this whole other piece of us. And so I'm kind of bringing into what I was going to say, the hippie world, like, look, we need to start talking about what we do, because there is zero doubt in my mind. Like, I know for sure there are people in our community that do exactly what you're looking for, and or are married to somebody that does what you're looking for. But it's through networking. It's through saying, this is what I need. Who do I know that might be able to connect me, and having to do it over and over again. You can't just say it once.
Yeah.
The world has changed from the years that I was doing this. I feel like the elements of the essence are the same. And when I used to, for quite a few years, I went to those morning, 7 a.m. business networking groups where you stand up and you say who you are and you give your 1 minute, elevator pitch, and then you go to coffee with people and you get to know them, and then you give them like this whole thing.
Yeah.
I did that for probably almost 10 years. And then at the University of Oregon, I actually created and hosted networking events for University of Oregon alumni. And so I facilitated the thing, right? So networking in that sense is something that I have way more experience than anyone I've ever really known. But now it's like I'm bringing it into this new world, and teaching the hippies who don't know how to network, like, you know, like, look, we need to think about each other as whole multidimensional beings, and that means doing business with each other. So we need to talk about what we do for business. And then when you hear someone say, I'm looking for a plumber, can someone help me find a plumber, you say, I know a plumber, let me tell you. You know, like, that's how it works. You don't keep those things separate or secret from each other. It's not salesy to say, oh my God, I know somebody that's amazing, I should connect you, you know, or I have something really cool, who can I talk to about it, you know? That's
I really like that you did that, and the angle of like bringing that into a space that otherwise does not have that kind of thing.
mm-hmm,
Because although they are often like not joined together, like I still feel like they're both really good and important. So I
mm-hmm,
appreciate that,
mm-hmm,
the spreadsheet and the,
mm-hmm,
yeah, the bringing that in, because like we can all benefit, you know?
mm-hmm.
So thank you.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm excited because a gal, do you know Wilderness Dawn? Do you recognize that name? She is literally somebody who posted recently. She's a homeowner. I need a plumber, and it needs to be somebody that I can work with because she is extreme chemical sensitivity, like alert allergy. Like, it is a big deal. So she needs to find somebody who can do that. And we talked about it online a little bit, and then she's like, "Hey, will you help me? Like, can we just make a spreadsheet and post in some of our groups and say, this, you know, who does these things, not just plumbing, but who does these things to help people take care of their homes? Let's put it on here so that we can all look at it and go, oh, yeah, I need that thing." Or, you know, so that's one way, very concretely kind of bringing into this community this conversation around what we're looking for, what people are need, and how to connect each other, you know.
Yeah,
Let's
it
all
helps,
live more
you know.
abundantly by actually connecting with each other, and more than just, oh, I see you at dance all the time, you know.
Yeah, and it's nice because there's that, you know, pre-existing level of like base level of trust. It's almost like having been vetted. Yeah. And
Right.
knowing that, you know, we share a commonality, so there's no need for anyone to expect anyone else to be like business casual and like stuffy, you know, because we're all
Mm-hmm.
contactors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, nobody wants to put on regular pants if we don't have to. Great.
Yep, there you go.
So we build lives that allow us to wear whatever kind of pants we want, and to be able to
Yeah.
talk to people wearing whatever pants we want.
And that's, I mean, that's part of like being autonomous over your own body choices and expressive choices, and, you know, part of like reclaiming your neurodivergent self and not living by those messages that, you know, many of our family members or teachers told us, like, what are the other kids wearing? Are they wearing that? Or will the boys like you if you wear that?
And
And
I tell you what,
all the
this
things.
is going to sound nuts, but when I started working for a company called Robert Half International, which is a big corporation, I started working for them in 1997. Women were not allowed to wear pants, and we had to wear nylons. I could not, and because I had a tattoo on my ankle, I had to wear nylons you couldn't see through. I shit you not. Like, the
Oh,
several years that I worked there, I was not allowed to wear pants and had to hide my tattoo.
yeah.
And
I
had to dress
mean,
professionally, which was very expensive.
yeah, that's the world I was raised in as well. I mean, it's like, I feel like it's still fairly new, this, you know, like,
It is, but
yeah,
at least I don't know that there's any organization still requiring women to only wear skirts and nylons. So at least maybe we're past that point.
right.